It's the FilmSharksPodcast. We talk about movies and TV shows and games and other things we want to talk about. Entertainment-wise, or whatever, you know. Anything that's entertaining to me, I'll talk about it. That's fine.
That's right.
I don't care if it's entertaining to anybody else.
That's right.
I don't care if it's entertaining to the people listening. I don't
That's
care
right.
if it's entertaining to you. I just talk about it.
It's not entertaining.
It's not entertaining anymore. Okay, well, anyway, hey, we're going to talk about something important. Movies. We're talking about Furiosa.
A Mad Max saga.
Ready? Steady? Go!
He took my childhood. If you find him, he's mine.
Let's party! There is no hope!
Do you want to start with the actual dismal, let's say, the poor box office for this film?
The reason it's
Mad
doing
Max
so
saga.
poor, though, is because the budget was like twice as much as the last one.
Yeah, but
It's performing
not even
worse.
made. It's not even made as much as they were hoping. Like, you know, they were hoping it would make.
I know.
That's the
Which is
thing.
weird.
So there's a couple things. Is it too late? The first one didn't even make like that much money, really. It made an okay amount, you know, like it was like fine.
I think the reason we got the second one is because it was critically acclaimed.
Yeah, word of mouth, I think, afterwards. And yeah, the critics.
It won like a
and
ton
the
of
awards
Oscars.
And yeah, Oscars. And it's just, I don't know why. I think it's just a hard one for people to jump into. Also, like you have to know sort of what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember seeing the trailers. I think it was we were watching The Hobbit, the final Hobbit movie, maybe. I remember seeing the commercial where it was like the operatic musical for the Mad Max Fury Road, and I was like, gotta see that, you know? Like it's
I only
insane.
saw the one trailer, and it was on
I can't remember
my
the name
phone.
of that song, but
That was it.
yeah, because I think it was more of like a.
I
I had seen
remember
a
seeing it
couple
coming
trailer
out.
because I watched it after the trailer again afterwards because I was like, what is this? It's crazy.
I'm so
I guess
glad
I knew
saw
about
it.
Mad Max.
I'm
but
so
yeah.
glad I saw it.
But then,
in theaters.
yeah, you and I and Johnny were you
That
guys
was
were
like
kind of like,
our-
well, it's fine. I'll go watch it. Whatever.
That was like our phase of just like we went to go see every movie like every
good
single
times,
week.
man. Good times.
We just need to do it.
I still try to do that, but
Even if it's
hard.
like super. My problem is like I got to
difficult.
work tomorrow. But I'm like,
Yep.
I freaking love watching movies in theaters.
you know, whatever. It's you got to decide what. Anyway, but so yeah, that first movie didn't make that much money, but I think it did okay to be like, all right, you
The
know.
budget's like doubled in this one though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like 200 some million.
it's more for sure.
The cast as well. Also,
Is it 200? Might be
it was
200.
200 plus.
Well,
And then you have
marketing
to
and
also
everything.
double
I
it
don't
for
know if it
marketing.
was. A budget estimated 168 million,
So double.
but maybe plus 400 million for marketing. We'll call it 200 altogether ish.
So I'd say about 300 million, 350.
Yes, cross U.S. and Canada, it's 41 million, almost 42 million. It's made.
Box office.
Yes,
That's sad.
opening weekend only made 26,000. Sorry, 26 million.
Oh, well.
300. 300,000 foreign. You know, but I'm not going.
I see a lot of people on like Reddit.
27
and, like,
million, maybe.
like
which is
Twitter and
insane,
stuff. They'll
but-
be like, please, anyone listening, go watch
Yeah, for
Furiosa.
real. Yeah.
I want more of these movies. And
That's
we're
the
not going
thing.
to get them if it's not financially going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, box office is Yeah, so the box office was like Garfield is barely ahead. Like Garfield's not doing well either. Apparently, the Memorial Weekend was like the lowest it's been in 8.
I don't
like,
ever
years.
remember seeing movies on Memorial Day weekend. I'm always at like
that's a big-
get-togethers.
Yeah, it's a big movie time, but for the whole weekend though. You know,
My
what I mean?
opinion,
But yeah, usually
I have never understood dropping a movie on a holiday weekend. I feel like that's the worst time to do it.
maybe or you know
Like Thanksgiving, Christmas. I'm always too busy to go see a movie.
yeah, I think Thanksgiving and Christmas more so, but
It's
like
crazy. I never really. I was just like, what are we doing?
those
here?
are big ones because it's like the beginning of the summer and it's
4th
like
of
okay,
July.
you're off for like a couple of days. You know what I mean? So you can go to both your get-togethers or whatever, however many you have, and then you still have an extra day, and it's like, well, I'll go see a movie. What's in theaters? I don't know. People's mindset are totally different now too, as far as like, yeah, I want to see Furiosa, but I'll just wait for it to come out in 2 weeks. Streaming,
Well, I think at some
it's
point,
crazy.
At some point, they're gonna have
How
to
soon they come out.
Estimate how much money they're gonna make streaming wise.
Yeah, that's true.
That's gonna have to
home video, you might call it.
That's gonna have to
it's gonna
factor into the budget because
streaming is so weird though. How do you even?
I don't know how you make money streaming. I think the streaming service pays for it to be streamed there, but do you make money after that?
I don't know. Like I don't, or however long. Maybe if they renew it for so long.
The stats on like streaming is so strange because they can also fudge those numbers.
Yeah, or not release them or whatever,
And you always get like those movies on Netflix that no one watches, and they're like, it was the most watched movie of all time. I'm like, I don't even know what this movie is.
Yeah, right. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I guess there's still a market for some physical media sales too. So if that does well, I'm definitely gonna buy it.
I think it's streaming,
but it's much less.
I'm wondering if at some point though.
Well, I'm just thinking
instead of just saying box office, they're going to have also a point in there where like streaming money instead of just box office.
I think I'm assuming they base a lot off of the box office, although that's not necessarily a tell because sometimes movies do a lot better after they're released and everything.
I might be wrong, but I think that people are just not going and seeing movies as much anymore.
Yeah, they're not. I mean,
every time we went to go see a movie and the theater,
any theater really. Well,
there's usually like 2 different people in there, and that's it.
Which is nice for us, but it's like
me and Carly went to see a movie on a Saturday night, and there was like nobody in the theater,
right?
And it was like brand new movie. I can't remember what it was.
Depending on what it is too, but I mean,
it's all about franchises, and
those aren't any good.
The Mad Max franchise is so sacred now. I think it's more about the acclaims, the critical acclaims of the movie that's getting them remade and stuff. So I hope that the next one they're still going to make another one.
Yeah,
but everyone's saying they're not going to make another one unless this one makes money, which I get.
Probably,
but then I'm also like,
unless it does really
why did
well.
They make this one then?
Yeah, unless it does really well critically and like during award season and everything.
Right now, it's like in the 90s.
Yeah, it's 90 something at least
on critic and audience.
Audience, yeah,
which is honestly great.
That's generally what I've heard from everybody. Like it's great, Like,
so let's talk about it.
I'm just thinking of just like anything. Like I watched. Well,
we should also just skip the whole spoiler-free section. Just go straight into it.
Okay, maybe we'll see. But like Ungentlemanly Warfare and like Fall Guy, like those are good.
I didn't watch either. I didn't watch Fall Guy.
I watched Fall Guy recently because it's on video.
It's on streaming now?
Yeah.
Isn't it on Apple or something?
I watched it. I had to check.
I was gonna watch it.
You can basically rent it anywhere, so yeah, you can. But it's worth watching. It's really good. It's just fun. It's not like
But it's the whole thing of like
it's good. It's a good popcorn. It's a good. It'd be a good theater experience.
Yeah, but it goes.
But nobody
back
goes
to
watch it.
Well, I'll just wait till it gets on stream.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, and it was like, what is it? 3 weeks later that's out since it's been released, and Ungentlemanly Warfare is out already. And
but that's why I think
I'll just wait.
That to get people in the theaters, they needed. I mean,
it used to be crazy long to wait for movies. I remember, like vaguely.
It's so strange that Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Well, that was a weird situation too.
A box office like craze because like it's a 3-hour movie about talking.
And Barbie. Well, the Barbenheimer phenomenon. I don't know.
I think that they're not going to get people in seats unless there's some kind of like marketing. It's like some.
Yeah, I don't know.
Social marketing type of thing.
They had Barbenheimer. Dune had the popcorn buckets to get you.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
And then there's other movies being like, we're gonna like Deadpool's doing a popcorn bucket now.
Yeah,
that's like making fun
a
of
joke, but
I think that's the only way to get people in seats at this point, which is sad. Well, for the average,
I don't know.
I should say average movie goer. We go see a lot of movies. For like, we're above average for seeing movies,
probably
for sure.
That and like, well, although Garfield's not doing well, but I was going to say, not a lot of families are going to go see Furiosa. It might be difficult to get your boyfriend or girlfriend to go see it if they don't know about it or aren't interested in movie. You know what I'm saying?
I think.
And people who didn't like the first one, or people who are just like, I don't know what this is.
Here's what I would say though,
or even people who like Mad Max, but they're like, well, this isn't, or just generally, like, well, this isn't Mad Max, so I don't know what this is, so I'm just gonna not watch it.
Here's my opinion about this movie though, and I think this is more digestible for the average watcher than Fury Road.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's way more digestible.
Explain.
Fury Road, you're kind of just dropped into this madness. This one has a little bit more of a articulate story plot. The other one's very simple, but it's so like throwing everything at you all at once. This one feels a little less.
You're introduced
like a lore
character
dump on you of like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff happening.
Sure, I get it. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because without knowing the universe, you can still understand this movie like perfectly fine.
I think you can understand the first.
I think it's a little bit harder,
but it is a lot of like it's less about building things. It's just like, we've already built this, now we're dropping you in.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit. The first movie to me is a lot of world building. This one is world building, but
this one's almost more world building.
It has
world building in some ways.
Normal kind of movie plot in a way.
Yeah.
Compared to the first one's more of like kind of a twist on movie plots. It's simple, but also not. Yeah.
So instead of like, here's all these characters, now we'll see what's going on, you follow the one character from the start to the end, essentially.
Also, rewatching it, I realized that like it's not
important to know all that stuff.
It isn't, but there's like small
you get
moments.
It all.
There's like so little dialogue. You miss one like tiny spot of it. You're like, what is happening now?
I think it makes you pay attention more too.
I agree. But there was times where like Kylie like looked away for a minute, and it was the part where like Furiosa's turning around and going back. Missed the part where he was like, they're turning around and going back. She like missed that for a second. She went up to use the restroom or something.
Oh, well, okay.
And she got back and she's like, huh? What's going on?
He didn't pause it?
I usually just, she usually pauses it. I was watching it.
That's an important part. I mean, that's
what I always say.
It's different if you walk out of the room and come back in instead of like watching it and you're like,
but it's also like if I didn't watch this, I wouldn't know where the important parts are, because I'm usually there to be like, Kylie, pay attention here. This is important.
Yeah, but if
I did that with Dune Part 2 all the time. I was like, this part you have to really pay attention to.
Sure. Here's another thing is people's attention spans are not as... You know what I mean? Like if you're watching a movie, watch the movie, unless you're just like, I'll just be on my phone halfway too. Because then you got to expect to be like, okay, you know what I mean?
I don't know why I don't want to...
I'm not going to make an excuse for the people... for people who are like, who walk out of a room and come back and be like, what's going on? It's like, well, you walk out of the room. There's something that happens.
The second one though, Furiosa, but I don't know exactly why. I think it's just more digestible for new goers.
Maybe
it's not as crazy.
Well, say you walked out of the room when she was going to go get revenge. Well, and there's like the big battle. We don't actually see the battle, but the battle happens, and then she's like steals car, and you're like, be like, what's going on? You know, it's not like.
Well, I'm not saying like that. I'm saying like there's parts in the movie where like
it's a pretty, you know where it's going essentially.
Yeah, and since I know everything that happened in the movie, you can look at it of like, okay, someone knew. How are they gonna take this? And I'm like, there's a couple points in here. If you didn't watch very carefully, you would be very confused.
The Furiosa or
the Fury Road. It's hard not to call that one just Mad Max.
Again, I'm not gonna. Again, it's like, well, if you're watching it, just watch it.
But like an average moviegoer is not going to be looking at the screen 100% of the time. That's why I'm saying, like,
theater though.
The second one seems like it might be a little bit more.
I don't know. I'm just saying I don't want to dumb down movies because people are not paying attention.
I'm saying that I think the second one is easier for people to understand.
Maybe. I think. Okay. I don't disagree. I guess I see what you're saying.
That's me.
Get out. Okay. No, I mean,
I don't know. I might be wrong.
I think being dropped into that world, like I vaguely knew about Mad Max beforehand, but I never had seen the other films until after. But
and it might just be me.
I don't think I was ever confused during watching Fury Road.
I wasn't
at any point.
I'm not saying that it's confusing.
Mostly
I'm saying
it's just
that
like, oh, okay, I see how this works. Oh, this is how
I'm
this
thinking
world
the
works.
first one movie is just way more crazy.
Yeah, I agree. In some
I think
ways,
it's just so much
It's
so
just a
much
lot at
hectic
once
craziness and
versus
crazy new
yeah.
characters.
This is kind of
This one
stretched
feels a little
out.
bit more. It's hard to say tame, but a little bit more tame for an average moviegoer.
I can't even say there's less action exactly. It's just spaced out more.
That and like
It's less of like a constant action,
For
which is pretty much
example-
what Fury Road is.
for example, like in the first 30 minutes of Fury Road, you don't even see Furiosa at all. You're just getting introduced to like
It's not 30 minutes, is it?
oh yeah. You don't see Furiosa till like
So
the first time you see her is when they leave.
Yeah, well, she walks out and you see the back of her neck.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
like
the brand.
oh, that scares me every time. The audio kind of just like stops.
Oh, no.
But like you see Max and then he's like trying to get out of the Citadel area and then you see the War Boys
I don't
getting
think that's
ready
30
to go.
minutes though, is it?
Oh, it's a lot longer
It's like
than
15
I remember.
or 20 minutes maybe.
I'm telling you, it's a lot longer than I thought because I'm like, Furiosa will be popping up any minute
So
now.
it's after
'Cause they
they
explain
give the
the-
water,
It's even further than
and then
that.
she's like, "Oh, my Imperator Furiosa is going to gas down or whatever to get fuel or whatever to trade the water for fuel."
because they do so much building and then
It's not
the-
that long though.
I'm telling you, dude.
Maybe-
It's a-
maybe
I
you're
just
right.
watched it. It's a lot longer than I thought it was.
Yeah, I watched it not too long.
But
ago.
like the first 30 minutes, you're just introduced to all the craziest looking people. Like a guy
crowd of
playing
people.
with his nipples and then like a bunch of like bald war boys. And you're like, all right, where's like something I can hold on to? Which me and you can hold on to it. But like, I think the average moviegoer is just like, this is just too crazy for me. When Furiosa starts off
like
right
a
away
soccer
with
mom
like,
turns it on, she might be like,
That's
"Oh,
what I'm
okay,
saying,
I
but
don't
like-
know about this."
I'm thinking that's a reason I think
But-
the new one's more digestible for average moviegoers because you're like following one character from the very beginning.
Yeah, I agree. That's what yeah, that's pretty much what I was agreeing with. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't want to apologize for,
I'm not. I'm saying
apologize,
that's probably
but
the reason
yeah.
that the
But it's
second
not
one
doing
might be
well,
more
is what I'm
digestible for new
Could be.
moviegoers. And that makes me sad that no one's going and freaking seeing it.
it could be. I mean, there's still, I don't even know. It's still weird and crazy, and it's like, it is.
Oh,
what
it is.
It's maybe, like I said, maybe broken up as far as action, but
Maybe we should talk about it a little bit.
Yeah,
before-
probably.
What time is it? 3.
maybe we got about an hour. It's fine.
Okay. Should we do some?
No, I just wanted to say, like, I was just curious of what your thoughts were on, why it wasn't doing as well. Is it too long? It's been like 9 years, man. So
That's crazy.
I wish they would have, popped
I
those
know.
out. But then they had the weird, George Miller had the weird lawsuit with Warner Brothers. And
Video game and stuff like that.
yeah, I don't know the video game. I like the video game, but
No, it's more of
like, yeah, they kind of, they took it and did their own thing.
well, George Miller worked with them and had it all mapped out, and then they
was gonna
worked
be a
on
part.
it, and then Warner Brothers or whoever it was just took it
Yeah. So,
and did some things that he didn't want to do,
yes.
and just took it from him, basically.
he wasn't involved anymore, essentially.
Yeah,
But it's pretty faithful as far as I know. I think initially he had like an American accent for some reason, and then there was a huge backlash of like, he's an Australian, so why is he? And then they redid all the voice. Anyway, why would you do that? Don't know. I don't know why would people think of like other
people should
countries-
play that game though. It's $5 right now on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's a cool open world. I don't know. I was playing it the other day. And I was
That's
like,
pretty
it's
good.
Pretty good still.
It still
Car
holds
ba-
up.
the car-
Some of the effects are like, oh, this is kind of aged a little poorly.
It's PS4 games or
yeah.
era, whatever,
Anyway,
But yeah, it's been a long time, so I was like, I don't know. I mean, I've been anticipating it, but I didn't even think we'd get one at this point. I was happy with the Furiosa or the Fury Road for the most part. Well, anyway, let's talk about it.
Furiosa.
Just talking about
We
it.
can talk a little bit spoiler free. I mean, no one's probably
Direction
seen it, so
is George Miller is still better than ever, really. I mean, what if you want to call it that? Still kicking, still rocking.
standouts. Definitely, Chris Hemsworth is amazing in this movie.
Yes,
It might be, not might be, it's my favorite role of his for sure. And it's awesome to watch interviews of him talking about it. He says it's his favorite role because it's something that he's never been able to do before. There's just
Yeah,
so
just be
much
crazy,
to hold on to. And like, he's like, of course I love doing Marvel movies and Thor and stuff like that. It's like, okay, you have to say that.
Of course I
but
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of
Marvel,
like,
I love doing this, but
he's like, I just love that like this character is so crazy and so much to chew on and do whatever you want kind of a deal.
I mean, this one's great. I would say his Thor in like Ragnarok, I really like.
I'm pretty good.
But
I'm just saying like this is something I've never seen from him.
Yeah. Well,
and it's just him going like crazy with it.
yes, he's great. Anya Taylor-Joy is always great. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Scary.
He can be scary.
I'm like,
what's
whoa.
funny with him is like he can be intimidating, but he's also kind of a doofus. Like he does,
A little bit.
he's got a lot of charisma, but he doesn't have a lot of
Yeah.
control. Like he doesn't know how to control people after he gets them on his team. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't know if he's getting too much spoilers, but
I think
that's kind of what I feel like for
Yeah.
him. He's trying to be this thing, but when people find out he's not totally that, they kind of like turn. That happens a couple times.
Anya Taylor-Joy is amazing. That one guy, I can't remember his name now.
One guy,
The Mad Max-esque guy, the Imperator guy.
Tom Burke.
That guy.
Burke.
He was great.
Yeah, he's cool. He's basically Mad Max. I was like,
I was
he
going
had
to
the
say,
pad,
Mad Max guy.
Mad Max Light. He had, we'll talk about it. He's good. So they replaced Hugh Keays-Byrne as
Rest in peace.
and Morton
Morton
Joe,
Joe.
who is
Morton Joey.
which in some ways I'm like, well, why even show him that much? You know, show him from the back or something. He doesn't even have to say anything, or he says a little bit, but like,
Well, I have something to
I was like, what's
about with
they
that.
showed him a lot, and I feel like it would better if they hadn't.
I have something that I was going to
'Cause then
say
you-
about that, but I think I need to wait till spoilers.
They kind of make him a little more sympathetic in some ways.
Well, I wasn't thinking sympathetic. I was thinking something I really
Not
like that
exactly.
they did with this is they made him seem smarter and more strategic. In the first movie, gosh, Fury Road,
Sure.
he seems very
Say first movie, we get it.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Chaotic, crazy. I don't know what.
He just kind of drops
Angry?
everything and runs for it and just throws everything at it. He
Less-
seems not as
okay.
strategic, more
Sure.
of like,
He wasn't like, okay, well, we'll just take a half the team and then you guys go and then we'll meet you. We'll try and circle around. And
what's the word I'm looking for?
He's a little more like hectic, or not hectic. Yeah, I know.
You know
you're
what I'm
saying.
trying to say. He's just throwing whatever he
Impetuous?
can.
I don't
throwing
know.
whatever he can at it to like, and not really thinking about it fully.
Right.
And this one,
he doesn't have any
seems more-
strategy. He just, like
Yeah.
you're saying, he just
That's
kind
something
of-
I really like that they did with him.
He's
in
like,
this. I'm
get the whole team. We're going after him.
This one, he was
Get
kind
everybody.
of like, all
Throw
right,
everything at him. Yeah.
being really strategic of how to do everything, and it made him seem more like, I don't know, powerful,
yeah.
calculated, which I really like that they did it. It's just
Like he was never intimidated by
Dementus.
Dementus's character. Well, at first, like he pulls up to the Citadel and they scare him off.
Yeah.
And then later on when they trade and stuff. Which
And that whole scene also answered other questions of why doesn't anyone just drive up to the Citadel and do anything crazy?
Well, I think it was
it's because you can't.
pretty clear before that too. Yeah, because they have that whole platform and everything. But
But I really like that they did that with him, Morton Joe. And they made him seem more
sure,
strategic, calculated, intimidating in that way.
I just mean I wish that he could have done the same thing, just not shown him less.
Yeah, I agree they could have showed him less, but I think
I
that
don't
they
know.
took him in a new direction. And that's one thing I would say about Fury Road that's like
Sure,
confusing. It's just like, throw everything, go get them.
which makes sense because those are like the most
They're his
precious
favorite
things
Yeah.
that he owns in the world, right? And they've been taken. It is kind of like a frantic kind of like, oh man, she freaking just stole
Yeah.
the brides, and now like just get everybody together. What do you do? You know, get the bullet farmer, get the.
It's so frustrating. I can't think of
Yeah.
the word. I'm like, there's like a word for that. I can't think of it.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm not actually sure what you're trying to say. So
and Morton Joe, though, I think was very
fine.
well written. Maybe it wasn't it too much.
It's just not as good in the.
It's not as good as the
Fury Road, but
original actor as well. I think he did okay for what
No,
he was
I
given.
didn't hate it. It was
No,
fine.
I mean, like,
I think that was the same actor who did the one-eyed bike dude with.
they like de-aged him a little
Dementus.
bit.
I don't know.
No, not the one I meant one guy that they did bring back,
They brought back a couple guys. They brought back
Yeah.
the People Eater guy,
Bullet Farmer.
the Bullet Farmer, which he must be de-aged some.
Yeah, they definitely
He would've been
de-aged him.
old. He would have been. He was already old looking 10
Yeah.
years ago. And I think his. Oh well, okay. So the thing that ties into the video game is the Scrotus character. his other son, which I feel like they should have shown him die in this one.
Yeah.
Unless actually he may get killed in the Wasteland, which is what the game is more based on with Mad Max. The Mad Max game, because Scrotus is the main character in the Mad Max game, and you defeat him at the end. But anyway, I don't know. So I guess that's how that's supposed to work. Anyway, he's in it. He's cool. He does play the Nux's
War boyfriend.
his war boy buddy. They call him something.
I just watched it.
He's not the wheelman, but the
It starts with an S.
he's like, you're my, because he starts to take his card because the Nux character is dying or whatever. He's on the
Snip.
yeah, but he's there. He's like his what am I saying? He's like his gunner, his rear gunner character, whatever. I'm taking so much time on this. He's back. He plays Scrotus also, so he dies in obviously Fury Road, but he dies stupidly on the Fury Road.
Yeah.
Anyway,
On the Fury.
on the Fury Road.
Impulsive. That's the word. I'm
Okay, yeah,
looking
that's a
for.
good word for it. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But I think that makes sense because that's not how he normally is. It's because, it's like the worst thing that could ever happen to him has happened.
Careless, reckless.
Yeah, reckless maybe. Could be a good
That's
word
what
too.
I'm thinking the word
Impulsive,
is.
yeah.
And then he's more calculated. Sorry.
Sure.
I've been trying to figure out my word.
Well, that makes sense though, because like he is when he's not threatened by anything. But
Mm-hmm.
when this thing that the most important thing to him is taken, then
yeah.
there you go.
Because I saw some people criticizing
Like the weird
Furiosa for being like, well, I can't say it because of spoilers, but
Yeah.
like if that one went missing, why didn't he go just drop everything for
Yeah,
that one?
yeah.
But then they're like, well, that's not
Newer,
his,
but
yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
it's still young and he's more focused on other stuff too.
Apparently, Chris Hemsworth's wife was in this also. She plays
Twice.
Yes, she plays the first.
That's the person when we were watching, I'm like,
Earlier.
I've seen her before. I was like, who are you?
We're kind of being vague about it because we're against spoilers. But she plays one of the early people in the film, and then she plays one of
people
the
from
gang.
The Green Place.
Yes, and then she plays one of the gang.
On
The one with the messed up face, I think.
Yes.
Who fights?
She has black hair.
Yeah,
So that's why
That
I
helps.
did not recognize it all.
yeah.
Which
who
is
else? And-
strangely one of the most memorable like side characters I can
yeah.
remember. I'm like,
Well, she kept showing up again. I was like, oh yeah, I was like,
remember
you belong on this team. I'm trying to think of anybody else that's really important to talk about. Not really. It's like I said, George Miller. He's the only other person.
great.
Music is great again.
he's great in this
back.
movie.
Tom Holkenberg. Yeah, probably.
Junkie XL, man.
Yeah, Junkie XL.
I've been listening to the soundtrack. It's a lot more subtle. I love this one more because it's more like tension instead of action, and I like that a lot.
I like both, but yeah, I think they got different things to offer,
Yeah.
but similar themes in there and such.
Go watch this movie though, and let's get.
That's
into
pretty much the
freaking
answer, right?
spoilers.
I mean, seriously, if you want to help, if you want to help really good, like interesting film. I know it's a franchise, but it's not like it doesn't feel like a franchise.
like that. It feels like it's something.
It's its own really special thing, yeah.
And
We might lose it. You know
I told
what I mean?
Kylie today, I was
don't know.
like, this is the second movie this year that is like obviously my tops that are set in like just the desert.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
like, this one and
A
Dune Part 2
wasteland
both
desert.
came out and they're easily the best movies this year so far.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know which one I like better. Probably this one. Probably Furiosa, just because I like Mad Max more than Dune.
Can't do that to Dune. I have a soft spot for that, man.
Oh, I got a softer spot for my Fury Road, so that's why I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick. Those are like my tops.
I mean,
and I was telling Kylie,
Yeah.
it's like this year, and then I remember the other year that was like incredible for movies was 2015 when Fury Road came out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Good one.
this year's off to a great start for being like
Yeah.
a great year for movies.
Yeah.
I don't think I've
Pretty
seen any
much.
bad movies this year.
I mean, Argyle kicked us
That
off
was pretty
on
bad.
a great start.
that was a pretty bad one.
It wasn't
It was pretty
awful.
bad.
It was just like, okay. I'll call it rough, bad, yeah-ish.
I was
whatever.
like, Apes was good.
I'll call it goofy. Apes was great. Well, anyway, we don't have to run this, but
spoiler now?
yeah. Well, basically the answer is mine is. I think it's 8.5 for me.
Probably an 8.5.
8.5 for me.
Which is
which is
incredible
very
because the
good.
first one's almost a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh, well, it's a 10 out of 10 for me for sure.
It's almost like
It's
the
absolutely
perfect
10 out of
movie.
10.
It's almost there, man.
It's 10 out of
I
10,
don't think
baby.
I've ever given anything a 10 out of 10.
Well, then how can you base anything? You need to put something there. That way you can
But
drop
there's like
it.
things I can think of that I'm like, oh,
Jurassic
man.
Park, Indiana Jones are 10 out of 10. Inception's probably 10 out of 10. Dark Knight.
Maybe we should have an episode of our 10 out of 10s.
Probably. Because, like, what I need, so I'm like, 'cause
favorite
I don't want to
movies.
live a life where I'm like hesitant to put anything at 10 out of 10. Because it's like, am I waiting for a movie to come along to be a 10 out of 10? Well, I can just put it in there when it comes along, you know?
Yeah, you might be right.
Jaws is in a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
I hate to say it.
There's some movies that are
and
10
you
out
might
of 10.
disagree with me. I think Furiosa is as good as Fury Road for me. I like them both
That's fine.
just as good. They're
That's
both
your own
great.
opinion. You're
And I
wrong,
think they're
but-
both. They're in my top 5 at this point. Both of them at this point.
I think Fury Road's a little bit better for being concise.
Yeah, probably.
Not better. Okay, I shouldn't say that's better. For me, it's better. Fury Road's a 10 out of 10. This is an 8.5 for me. But
Still, they're so good.
oh yeah,
Like, go
8.5
freaking watch
is a
this
great
movie.
But yeah, and if you haven't seen,
It's definitely our taste, and it's not for everybody. It's definitely hard to get people to watch these
regardless
movies.
of where you put it, or rank it, it's still they're both some of the best action movies in the past 10 years.
100%. I'm just saying, it's probably
Like,
hard to get
the most
someone to
interesting-
agree with us.
Yeah, the most interesting, well shot, well thought out
And if you don't like it,
stories.
that's fine.
You know what I mean? Like, even if you are like, oh, it's just a big long chase scene. Well, there's so much more to it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
100%.
At least as far as Fury Road, and this one as well. It's like, well, I mean, look, they're subtle, and if you're there to see them, you'll see them. If not, you'll just be like, okay.
There's a
yeah,
lot
whatever.
more. There's a lot
There's
more.
a
there.
lot to these that are more than what you think, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can get a lot of story in between.
It's
those.
not for
even
everyone.
with only like 30 lines of dialogue. You know,
It's definitely not for everyone.
No.
And if you don't like it, that's cool. You know what? It's just not for you.
you should go see it though.
It's definitely.
Support movies. At
Give
least
it a
this movie.
chance.
I just want people to go see it because I want another one.
I know.
And it's not going to happen, probably.
I don't think it's
or it'll
gonna
happen in
happen.
another 10 years and George Miller's going to be like 90. I mean, how
He'll be
long
dead
can he
by
make it,
then.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, just kick him out, man. I don't care if they didn't do well. Keep, you know what I mean?
My favorite thing about like the whole following of
I just want to see what happens after Fury
George
Road.
Miller is like all the other directors and writers being like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright went to go see it.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like talking to his friend or producer or someone. And it's like halfway through it, he just looked over. He's like, how does he do it? How is he able to do
Yeah,
this?
even great directors are like, how is he making this movie so good? You know, like,
crazy.
how is all this stuff look so great? Okay,
Spoilers.
spoilers. How'd you feel about like the look of it as compared to Fury Road? As far as like, because there's definitely more CG moments that I was like, oh, that's CG, but not bad.
Here's my
but
opinion. I think Hollywood and CGI has gotten so crazy that I can't enjoy movies without being like, that's CGI.
they've gotten worse.
I know.
In some ways.
It's my opinion
I
that
don't know how, but
I'm
less
I'm
time.
trying to tell myself to like, don't base your opinion on the movie just on like how much CGI is in it.
I don't. But
Because I'm like,
Yeah.
apes. That's
Oh,
like
yeah.
all CGI at this
or
point.
even Avatar if you're gonna go there. You
Yeah.
know? Similar amounts.
So
But-
it didn't bother me as much as I
No, it
thought
doesn't
would.
bother me.
And
but
I went back and watched the trailer. Some of those shots in the trailer, it's a bad trailer in my opinion.
I mean, it's a year later. You know,
Yeah.
when they actually have more. Time.
and they already have some behind the scenes on there. Some of those shots that I thought were CGI were not at all.
Or even, I mean, generally, we're not saying no. Like Fury Road had a lot of CGI. It's just detectable, you know, all obvious.
There's
CGI.
some, yeah. I will
because
say
mostly it's like wire removal, adding backgrounds, adding more vehicles. You know, some dudes are, you know what I mean, things
Yeah.
like that, where it just adds to it.
I
but you're
guess
not
I'm
really,
trying to.
You know,
My opinion now is just because there's CGI doesn't mean it's bad.
yeah, I've never thought that.
I kind of gotten to a point where I was like, CGI. There's so much CGI. It's just when it's really bad is the problem. But I
Yeah,
don't think
which is a lot of movies
Yeah.
and shows right now because it's mostly Marvel and
think-
Star Wars.
I think that's
and
what ruins CGI in my
DC.
opinion. And CGI can be just like super subtle. But it's the really bad overabundance that annoys
Yeah.
me, where you're like, okay, this actually just looks bad. I don't think anything in this movie looked bad.
Yeah. It's just how it's used, right? It's
Yeah.
how much time you have, but also like because we have better technology.
Yeah.
But somehow the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, the first one, look better than Dominion. But why? You know, like
100%.
how is that? Like you can see that it's
And the one actual,
it's like how is it impossible? I don't even know. Even the animatronics are better.
the animatronic in Dominion
But
looked
it's just
awful.
it's the director and how they decide to shoot those things, and you know how much they've decided to put in. It's how much time the team has to put into it. I'm not saying.
I think
I was
people
just saying
talking-
compared to this one and the last one, like
I think
yes, there's definitely more noticeable CGI.
I think there's more CGI, but I think that it all looks
it's used
incredible.
fine. Yeah, it's no point where I'm like, ooh, that looks awful.
I think a lot of people hated it on the trailer, and that was one of the reasons they're not going to go see it. One of their
Maybe.
their complaints I'm seeing a lot of is like it's woke and all this stuff. Shut up. First of all, it's not even.
It's not.
And then also like there's so
Well,
much CGI.
yeah.
Okay, there's CGI, but that's not a bad thing.
Well,
and
yes,
it looks incredible.
I can't totally blame them for being like it's woke when if there's like a female lead, a lot of the movies are like,
I will say,
you know, they will go that whole
Hollywood
like,
does.
oh, we've overdone that, and so I get people being like wary of it.
Yeah.
But it's different if you're like haven't even seen it. And you're like,
It's not.
It's a girl boss thing, and that's how you know what I mean. It's like, well, you haven't seen it, so at least you know you have no proof.
And like, yeah, that happens
She
a
doesn't.
lot.
So she doesn't do anything in there that I'm like, oh, she couldn't do that. Like, she's not taking guys. You know what I mean? She doesn't have a. She's not a Mary Sue, for lack of a better word, I guess, or to encompass a bunch of like what people would say.
Yeah, she's not
I
a
feel
Ray.
like she felt earned.
100%. And even think Fury Road, she's
Fury Road, I've never had an
just
issue
like
with it.
that, and she's like the same person. So what's the big deal? It's not like
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, I guess you can't see her
I
backstory, so you just
I
kinda
was
add it
also
yourself. But
people are like, well, it's George Miller trying to be like get in with the woke crowd. It's like
sure,
George Miller wrote this character back when he
Long
was
time ago.
filming the original ones as well. So it's not like a new thing.
well, I don't know. Was it that old?
Yeah, he was gonna put him in. He was gonna put her in Thunderdome,
Oh, interesting.
which I was like, that's pretty sick.
Huh? I've never heard that,
Freaking
but that's
do
cool.
that.
I know he's been writing Fury Road and everything around it from like the early 2000s.
Well, he had the idea of Furiosa as a character
Sure.
since he was
I
like
gotcha.
first starting.
okay,
it.
I did not know that. That's cool.
I could listen to George Miller talk
Oh,
for
yeah.
ages.
The dude
There's
is
only
like-
certain people that like I could just sit there and be like, yeah, just keep talking.
Well, yeah, because partially it's like, well, one of the reasons why these movies are so good is because the whole idea of mythology, and it's not just I'm going to write a cool action movie. It's like, well, here's here's the themes below the action.
Yeah.
Here's what people motivate. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a long action film. It's people trying to escape from. Or you could put it in whatever category you want. You could say like people trying to escape from their abusers or whatever.
Abusers,
or you could
oppression
call
over
it
the system,
oppression in
yeah.
general. You know, you could call it.
well,
Whatever, like you can put it to a bunch of different things because it is a mythology, or you could just say, "Hey, this was like a hero from Greek,
Yeah.
origin."
who's actually supposed
You know.
to hold all the power and like wealth and resources? It should be for everybody. It's not like
It's a western.
well, we're
it's
driving on the desert and we turn around. It's not like that.
we come back. Yeah, it's a western. It's a medieval story. You know what I mean? It's a myth.
It's
And
great.
and you can put in a lot of you can put in your own things into it.
Um,
But that's what I'm thinking because I'm like, there's so much more layers than just being like, well, that's
so I want to talk about first of all.
Okay, go ahead.
My favorite part of the movie. It's hard to just pick one favorite part. I think the opening is probably like my favorite part of the movie. The opening right off the bat, and the person who plays Furiosa's mom. She's only been in two things. She was a standout character for me. Of being like,
Yeah, for not even being
I was
in
like,
that much.
where are you all my life? I want a movie about you now at this point.
Let's do this. The prequel to the prequel.
I would take it. I would take it. If George Miller made it, I'd watch it.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
But just, and another standout for me in this one compared to the Fury Road. I keep saying first one.
Yeah.
I
It's
see
fine. We
Fury
get what
Road
you're
as the
saying.
first one at this point.
It's the first one made, so
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
I think the sound design is one of the biggest standouts for me in this one.
Both, yeah.
I feel like they focused more on this one. The same sound designer. I follow him for like everything he ever did. And he even said, like, this is probably his favorite that he's done. He did Dune Part 2. He said, Furiosa is like my favorite.
Furiosa is better than Dune Part 2.
And sound design, probably not, in my opinion.
I think they're pretty equal.
There's like new sounds in Dune Part 2 that have like never been made. But I'm like, whoa.
I mean, I'm sure that, okay. This is different, though. Dune...
It's a totally different thing.
Dune is
it's hard sci-fi.
Is a sci-fi that is new technology, and this is a world of used items. So, you know, you can only use what we have. It's
two different. I think Dune Part 2 is like actual like science fiction at its heart. This one's like science fiction in the real world.
You got to make up new sounds for Dune. For this one, you want to keep sounds we know.
I think this is some of my favorite sound design, period.
For both.
The sound of the dirt bike at the beginning is easily the standout for me. And that sounds so little, but that scene of her chasing after those two bandit guys is probably my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, for
visually, sound, it's just acting, soundtrack. It's like my favorite part.
For a movie that's about vehicles or half about vehicles.
And it's so weird that a dirt bike is my favorite thing in the movie.
Well, I'm saying, but you got to get the engines and everything sound right. And they nail all that stuff, of course.
That's why this movie, I wish I saw in IMAX.
I mean, yeah, obviously it'd be better and be bigger and better looking. But
I can only imagine how amazing it looks and sounds in theaters.
If any of it was shot in IMAX, I didn't look that up, but
I don't know, just bigger.
So it doesn't matter too much, but yeah, bigger screen,
bigger, louder,
better sound system. But the one we saw it in is still good.
It's great.
In the theater, but like I had no complaints really.
I think. I
but
want to know who the
cinematographer
cinematographer
whole opening
is.
scene.
Whoever the cinematographer is, give him the Oscar right now.
Find out. I think it's.
I don't even know if he did the first one. Whatever he did, he got better.
No, that and then the very end scene where it's the hazy desert after the storm.
I took someone posted a screenshot.
Yeah.
Of, I'm just gonna. It's like the final scene.
Yeah.
With Furiosa like taunting Dementis with her car, and she stands out and she's got like the parachute and like a hood, and it's like all hazy out there. I think that's like one of my favorite shots of this entire year.
Yeah. Simon Dugan.
What did he do?
You may know them from Mad Max or Furiosa. Mad Max. Great Gatsby.
So did he do
Hacksaw Ridge?
Did he do the first one?
Fury Road.
Yeah. Whatever he did.
He did Warcraft. He did 300, Rise of the Empire.
Warcraft looks awesome.
It does.
I don't even care what people say about that movie.
He did Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. He did Underworld Evolution. That's a good looking one. I don't think he did the first one.
He's amazing.
He's from New Zealand. It looks great. I mean, the last one. They both look great. I gotta go to it anyway. But
whatever
no
it is,
there, man.
It's so good.
Yes, absolutely.
How should we approach this? Story wise, it's pretty much the story that they say in the first in Fury Road. She gets stolen from the green place, and it's her way of trying to get out of it or finding a place
back to it, or keep the hope alive at any rate. You know,
it's when you boil it down, it's just a revenge story
for the most part. Yeah, it's someone taken from.
It's like
trying to make their way back and
Kill Bill.
Pretty close.
Like this person did something bad to me. All right, I'm going to kill this person.
Yeah, pretty much. And a couple of things they do. So, but Dementis's character, it's just
great. I don't really want to just like go through like how the like.
What was interesting was I almost feel like it could have been a show because it's done in chapters.
Did you like that?
I didn't love it, but it was fun. I was like, okay, why? But why do it? Unless you.
That's the only thing I was like, I don't love it.
I was gonna say unless you do it for a time jump, but then they don't do it for the time jump.
No,
they use that tree with her wig in it. So I don't know. I was like, whatever. I guess it doesn't bother me. But my thought was, well, do like how many chapters was it? 6?
That's like a season.
So do like a 6 episode, an hour and get a 6 hour movie version of that. Or, not 6 hour movie, but a 6 hour version of it. That would be pretty sweet.
That's the only thing I didn't love about the movie. I can accept it. I didn't
hate it. Yeah, but I was like, okay,
I just didn't really. It didn't really add anything.
No, I didn't.
You could have just like cut those out. One thing I did like that they had was the narrator, who's been like he's a big character in the comic books.
The
old guy
man,
with the story
man or whatever.
He's got like the writings all over his face and stuff. There's an old lady in Fury Road that's like that as well. And that's like as much as you got.
They're the Wikipedia of. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of different history men around.
Yeah,
and they just write. That's what they're all tattooed with, all the history and things that they know.
I really liked him.
Basically,
really cool.
They're basically like an AI where it's like, hey, can you tell me about tears or whatever? And he's like, tears are the secretion from the tear ducts in the human eye, and they can be sweet sorry, that's not sweet. They can be salty, and their chemical composition is different. Whatever, anyway, whatever he says, but it's cool. And then they can ask him about anything really. But
yes,
that was cool. I liked having those characters in. They repeated a lot of the things that kind of started out with Max narrating. As the world fell, it was difficult to tell whatever he says. They kind of copied a little bit of that. And then they have a lot of the repeating images and voices from the first film about as far in the prologue, the title sequence, when they're like, here's what happened kind of to the world. It's definitely in Australia now. We know that. I mean, everyone knew that, but you know what I mean? They actually came in, like they dropped from space view into the
it was cool
Australian desert
area.
The
outback.
I don't even know what's the outback, but the center desert area.
But some people were complaining that it makes the world feel small, this movie.
Right.
I think the opposite. I think, to me, this makes me feel like, oh, there's a lot more out there, because you get Dementis and all of them, and they're just like, oh, there's a lot more to this.
They're driving around. Where did they come from? The green place.
When you see the map, you're kind of like, oh, they're all really close, and this seems very small. How did they not run into the green place? I don't think that's the case at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's just like desert every direction. You don't know what's out there.
And then
there could be nothing, and
the
you
salt
die.
plains and stuff.
Which I always thought was kind of, was that like in an ocean? But I guess it's not really. They're not like next to the ocean where it's dried up or anything. It looked like the ocean was there. So I don't know how that works. Yeah, like when they come down from the map, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like there were like pockets.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, but is it just Australia that's like this? Is it
everybody's just completely normal?
It's fine, and they just like let's just lock off Australia.
Yeah,
they got crazy. They went a little crazy down there.
Something that I heard though,
but I get what you're saying about.
I can't remember where it was.
I understand.
Apparently, like a bunch more nukes go off between this movie and Fury Road, and that also causes where the green place deteriorates into the, what's it called? It's like the wasteland where it's all the
it's all the wasteland, people. But yeah, the crow dudes.
What do they call it?
It's
like the smog or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember what it's called. They call it something. But that's the wasteland, or that
area
is the green place in Fury Road. Apparently,
that's the area that they pass through.
Nukes going off between these movies.
I don't know about that one. Not heard it, but I mean, I sure, why not? But yeah, so
some of the continuity kind of, it's a little scrambled.
It's not perfect. I think I feel like it's pretty tight though in these, because it is
between
so
these two, but between this and connecting it to the original Mad Max, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I mean, it's just vaguely.
Yeah, because
it's always been a little like, how did this
Tom
come
Hardy
from
is talking in the
this?
first in Fury Road about how he was a cop.
Yes, all that was
okay.
The same.
How long ago was that?
Well, so
that's what I'm saying. Like, and he's like in his 40s. So even if it was 20 years ago,
something like that, he would have been like 20 something.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think it works, but
it's kind of weird.
Well, so
like in 20 years, all that happened, and just people went crazy.
Yeah, I get. I mean,
that seems like maybe a lot of stuff to happen in 20 years. Even George Miller was kind of like,
it's not perfect. Yeah, it's like, well, generally. Well, because Dementis he had a family, and he was maybe like 20 or something, and then because he has like gray hair by the end. So maybe he's like 50 in that one, late 40s. I don't know. By the end of this movie, I don't know. But I don't know. As far as the world being small, I get what they're saying, because you actually go to these places, whereas the other ones they're kind of like just mentioned. Like, it did kind of feel like it's an easy drive down the road to get to Gastown or Bullet Farm. But
Fury Road,
whatever.
To me,
or
it
less
felt
dangerous.
Like,
I don't know.
It felt like in Fury Road that like anywhere I go, there's going to be something crazy trying to kill me.
There's just tons of people out there.
And this one, I felt like
less.
There's like 4 gangs that you got to watch out for. Everything else will be fine.
One of the gangs runs Gastown too. So
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
you know.
So it's not that big a deal.
So
It didn't bother me. I didn't think it felt small. I could see how people could see that, like feel like that, but I don't know. Some people are like, well, it just feels like a video game map now.
It was cool to see the places.
I loved it.
But I guess I didn't need to. I think it would be just
Don't
to be
think about it
vague
too
about it. You know what I mean? Be more vague about it. I get what they're saying. Now that it's just the map's just being filled in more is pretty much what they mean. I think.
I can.
fine.
But to me, there's more out there as well. It's not
It's
like
fine.
this is it.
I liked the younger girl.
I thought she was
Furiosa just as well.
There's also a point in the movie where they swap actors.
Yeah.
I didn't notice a single bit. I was like, oh, this is the same exact person. Even when they jump from the younger person to Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm like, okay, this is the exact same person.
Well, have you heard about how they did that? So
Whoever it is, great.
well, they have the girl. So it's only the 2, as far as I understand. Well, I think maybe even Charlize Theron shows up at the very end.
very end.
Well, anyway, don't know about that fully, but what I understand is they would actually like instead of doing a de-aging, they would do like a layer of
It was great.
make their face just like vaguely look more and more like Anya Taylor-Joy, the first girl.
great.
I think the jump happens after that tree grows out and it shows the time pass.
Yeah.
So, but they take some of the previous girl and have kind of like
I didn't
composite
think
that.
about it.
Basically,
at
it's
all.
CGI, but they just do like little bits
It was great.
and make their face change slightly.
Because I was like, that was the smoothest
Until it's-
transition I've seen
yeah.
of someone like getting older in
and
a
I
movie.
and I think that's what's going to be going on in the future. Whenever
Keep it
you
up.
do
It's
like
great.
a younger version, as they get older, just do slight change. You do maybe a slight aging and a slight. Here's the
definitely
here's the
a lot
actual
of-
actor and swap them a little bit.
It's definitely a lot of work, but
It's like stages, and they just CGI'd it basically reverse.
yeah, I loved young
de-aging.
Furiosa or younger Furiosa
Yeah.
than Anya Taylor-Joy. I thought she was great.
She was really
child
good.
actor, and there was like some scenes with her where I was like on the edge of my seat where
She was almost in it more than I feel
Rectus
like.
was like chasing her down and stuff. I was like, that is like the scariest freaking
what
scene.
What a creepo. Apparently, as if he didn't need to be creepier.
Yeah, exactly.
Any of those people, but no, yeah. So what else is weird is Dementis gets rid of her, and also the organic mechanic. Like those are like why would you get rid of that guy? That guy's so like. I mean, maybe he had to do it to make the.
He wanted the deal.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's like, geez. Also, what was the point of the thing that the spring trap connected to his nipples?
What?
So when he goes and steals the Gastown leader, and he brings him back, and he's got that like spring loaded pinball spike.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But then he's got the chains connected to his like nipples and stuff in his. And I was like,
I didn't
why
think
is it
they were
connected to
attached.
that?
I thought it got caught in it.
Maybe it did,
I was gonna-
but he didn't have it before, so I didn't know where it came from.
I thought it was just like part of his costume type of deal, and then it got
He
caught
didn't have
in
it before, so maybe I don't
Got
know.
his nipples ripped off.
That's like the last
Were they
thing-
all the way ripped off?
Well, I'd torn
It's
out,
like,
whatever.
yeah.
The piercing, I don't know, whatever that means. But that's like one of the last things I'd want to have in the wasteland. Things.
No nipples.
well, no. I mean,
Giant
I just
nipple
mean
holes
anything that's like connected
hanging.
to me, hanging off. That's like just like a chain. It's like, well, probably don't want that. It's gonna
Yeah.
get caught in something. I know it. Anyway, I thought that's just like a random, like little weird thing. Anyway, but he gives away Furiosa, and then the organic mechanic, and she becomes a future wife. Will be at any rate. And then, yeah, I don't know. The whole thing about her escaping and no one saying anything. I mean, I guess there's no sign of someone not saying that, but it's just like they just gloss over it. So they're
Yeah.
probably like, she ran away and died or something. Who knows? Whatever, Anyway,
It makes sense for her character to like blend in with the war boys or like the mechanics.
what else can you do?
Love it. That was great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about other things you like.
I
What did
like
you think?
The action scene,
Yeah, I was going to
was
talk
what I was
about
gonna
the
talk
big
about
action scene with the Octoboss.
the big tanker, the big
The Octoboss scene.
truck.
That's
Yes.
the one name I can remember. For
Well, that
some
was the
reason.
most-
He was like
yeah.
such a standout. I also liked that they had his character just be like,
I'm
I'm
with
not
this guy.
following you, dude. You're crazy. I like that it's not
Well,
like
yeah.
feeling like
Let me mention.
Well, I guess I'm in your gang now. I guess I have to be loyal. This guy's like, no, I'm out.
He was never like on board with him really. So that's the other thing with
when he was like
Dementis, where like I was saying, he's like charismatic and people follow him initially, but
Mm-hmm.
when they find out he's like a sucky leader, actually, they're like, I'm out.
yeah, and you see that when he gets Gastown and he's not
Yeah, and
not
all
able to like feed
and all the people
everybody.
are like, yeah, this guy's the worst.
That scene
writing. That's
still
a cool
gets
scene.
me where like he's like follow me through the gas town and stuff, and you're seeing how
driving
like
around.
everything's falling apart there. That's a good scene.
Yeah, well, he can't lead. He can kind of
Yeah, he
But then-
wants to be
yeah,
a leader.
but-
He's not a good leader.
But the what's that guy? The
Octoboss.
boss. I don't know why you got that name, but
I
I guess
know,
it's because
it's
of
cool.
his. Is it because of his floaty
Yeah,
thing? It looks like an
looks like
octopus.
octopus.
I don't know. Probably a
love
way more
that
creative
scene.
scene than I assumed it was going to be. After Fury Road, I was like, what else can you do with, they had like the pole,
That's what
the
I was
polecat
wondering.
dudes, and then like
I'm like, how do you
different things. It's
how
like,
do you
can
do
beat
something
them?
crazy?
How can you beat that? And they're like, oh, hold my,
They did it.
yeah.
Hold my.
I was trying to think of something in that
Guzzling.
world. Yeah, hold my guzzling. Hold my contaminated water.
Yeah. I that was probably
That was so cool.
I still think
Now,
about it.
some of that was a little bit CGI-y, but I mean, apparently they had dudes actually flying out there too. So it's like,
I'm so excited
I'm-
to see the behind the scenes. They have like small clips of it.
yeah,
And I was also watching, I'm like, that makes sense of they would probably do that.
yeah. I mean, if you can,
It makes
why
total
not?
sense for like they don't have anything in the air. Why would they not
Yeah.
have something flying in the air?
What I like how every gang has their own thing.
It's so good.
So like that gang is like the flying,
And then
parachuter dudes,
The buzzards and the
then
other one are
the
like
buzzard, the spiky cars.
love it.
And that one gang is like the dirt bike gang. They can do jumps. They're
Mm-hmm.
like the X game guys. And then this other motorcycle gang.
This feels like a real motorcycle gang as well. Where it's just
yeah.
like motorcycles. Yeah.
Yeah, the actual like and he's got the sweet chariot motorcycle, which
so
apparently
crazy.
is like a, well, they got the idea from like from something
It's
in the past. I don't remember what it was,
it's
but
so sick.
but yeah, apparently it works. I don't know how, but
Yeah, the Octobot
pretty
scene
sweet.
was pretty crazy.
I liked but the flyers they were like, and
so
then the
good.
dude had like the skates for a minute, and then he flew. I thought he was just gonna be like So at first it was like water skiing,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, that's pretty sweet. And then they did one better, and they were like, oh, it's like parasailing now.
Love it.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
That whole scene is so good. Just
And the Mad Max is in it,
The way it's-
basically.
yeah. Is it Tom Hardy?
What do you mean?
Would it be Tom
well, there
Hardy's?
is that one. I meant Praetorian Jack or whatever. But yes,
Oh, Mad Max is in this freaking movie. Is that Tom Hardy or is it supposed to be Tom
It's
Hardy? Or is it
his-
supposed to be like his stuff?
it's supposed to be him. You mean the guy who's up on the ridge
Yeah.
after she passes out or whatever? Yeah, that's
Because it's
that's Mad
insinuated
Max.
that he saves her.
That's what I don't know if that's. I think it's less vague, but yeah, maybe he saves her and brings her back. Very similar to like the beginning of Fury Road, but he's not doesn't have the beard yet. Someone's here or walking outside. But yeah, so I think that's actually it was his stunt double on Fury Road. So it's this like same body type. and
Pretty
everything,
sick.
So I don't think they got him for just that one shot. But
My God.
get away from it. Yeah, but no, but I meant the Tom Burke character version.
Yeah, he's great.
Where he's basically a Mad Max character.
I also love
He looks like him. He had the coat like him and everything.
I really love the whole system they have underneath the truck. It feels so claustrophobic
It's
and
cool.
scary. Where they have like you strap onto like this cable and you can
Cables
roll
and slide
back and
back.
forth to fix it. Loved it.
It's a cool idea. You'd think she would. I guess she wasn't expecting to be attacked, but
Well, she was hiding under there at the
Yeah,
first part. They didn't
yeah.
even expect her to go.
right. That's
They
what I'm
found her
saying.
underneath.
So, but I mean, so she would have known like if they had to get down there though.
Yeah.
If they would have seen her is my
Oh,
only
yeah.
thought. But what else can you do? I guess. I'm not sure. She was trying to get to Gastown anyway. I think to kill Dementis at that point, or she trying to escape.
She's just trying to escape.
I can't remember. She had the dirt bike with her.
Because she was even like, this is my only chance to get out of here.
pretty much. Oh, she was trying to get back to the green place. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Duh. Before her arm gets ripped.
That's so brutal.
Trying to think of what else to even talk about the fully. I mean, we're kind of jumping all over the place, so it's whatever.
That's fine. I don't really have too much to say except it's incredible.
But yeah. There's some things where it's like,
It's also like
Like-
the action scenes are smart.
yeah.
The scene where it's at the very end, Furiosa's like chasing him down, Dementis is on the run. He's like scared. He's running away, and he gets other people on the bikes. He puts on a different person's costume. And they
Swaps
split
out.
up, and then Furiosa. I mean, it's not. She's doing exactly what you would do. Sure. You eliminate the ones, and you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Well,
it's
you
definitely
gotta-
the
you
other
gotta-
one.
I mean,
she realizes
yeah.
it. I'm like, this
I mean,
is
at some
smart.
point, she's just got to
without
pick
saying
one.
anything,
Yeah.
being like, oh, it was the other guy.
Well, right, and he's like, "Oh, we swapped." And then
Yeah,
that's why
it's
she's
so
okay.
good.
No, I wish you would have known that it was her before, instead of
Yes.
that first little last reveal, just to be more like, "Oh yeah, well, this is the person." You know,
Well,
what I mean?
they
know.
do meet again.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
It's
who
at
she is, though.
Gastown and doesn't know who it is, and then he kind of steps in front.
He
of
just knows those are the people who like
That was a tense
messed up
scene.
his. Yeah, that was
Every time I'm like, put on a mask or something, freaking, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah, I don't know the Gastown scene or not. Is it Bullet Farm or Gastown?
The Bullet Farm's the one where they get ambushed.
Yes. Oh, okay. I see. You're talking about when they first get there and the crowd's like crazy.
Yeah, and then like Dementis pulls up in his
She's like, yeah.
6-wheel
Come
monster
with me
truck.
if you want to live.
Well, he was like, "Hey, you need to get out of here," and he's talking to Furiosa.
Yeah, are you the
And
driver?
then-
Are you in charge?
Yeah, and she looked over, and then the other guy like stood in front of him, and like it was like slow motion. You could see her like grabbing the shotgun and stuff. I'm like, dude,
should have just done it, man.
yeah, honestly, it would have been over.
Easy.
There's kind of a love story in this.
Yeah, it's a nice,
It's
or at least
very-
at least a close relationship. At any rate, they don't go. I would say it's a love story, but yeah,
I think as close as a love story as you're gonna get in this movie, because she's
Yeah.
like, "Come on, come to the green place with me," and like,
Yeah.
they like hug and stuff, and
yeah.
she's like, they come up with
They
a
do the
plan,
little
and they
forehead thing that they do at the green place, and everything.
and they got like
They're soaking their feet together. In
they
the
have a
little pool.
plan. They're like, all right, I'll put 2 dirt
yeah.
bikes in the back of the truck. We're gonna go there. We're dipping. We're going.
Yeah,
that's
as soon
it.
As the truck runs out of fuel, we're on
Taking the dirt
motorcycle, we're
bikes
on
the rest of the way.
Yeah,
I love when movies
it's so close.
they
to
have
it,
like
too.
we have a plan, and then something spoils your plans, and you gotta find a new way to improvise.
Yeah, or someone finds out and totally wrecks. You know,
Also,
there's something else like that.
anytime anyone was holding a sniper rifle was like the most tense scene for me.
Pretty. what
The
you
very
mean?
opening scene
Yeah.
when Furiosa's mom is like chasing him down with the sniper rifle and just slamming everybody,
As
and then
much as you could,
Furiosa's
yeah.
like sniping, trying to snipe Dementis and cover for the other person. That whole scene's incredible.
Oh yeah. For Jack, whatever.
I also love her vehicle at the end that she gets.
That Roadster, whatever it is.
So good.
Scrotus's Roadster.
I love that
whatever
car.
it is.
Man, it just makes me want to have one of them
Yeah.
cars.
They're nice. But they all sound great.
This is
and
the
it
freaking
looks
shot
great.
I'm talking about, dude.
Oh yeah, it's pretty
It's
sick.
so sick.
Let me think in here.
I'm so ready for this to come out on digital so I can just rewatch it 100 times. You get some good like wallpapers
Yeah.
and stuff. What else do we talk about?
So I'm trying to think of
Oh,
trying to
one
think what else
thing.
I wanted to talk about.
Here's
I had a
one
couple
thing I
things.
wish we got: the giant battle that we get in a montage.
Oh yeah, that's
I'm
what I
like,
was
just
gonna
a
say.
snippet,
No.
dude. Come on.
So yeah, the big
It's like the
Dementis
war that
is
they talk about.
Yeah, the Dementis' gang, or whatever you would call them, army versus Morton Joe's army.
Well, he's trying
Yeah.
to do. He's trying to make a. He's trying
He's tried to trick them.
trick them. Gastown's blown up. We all got to go send people there. And then he's going to send
Or
them
he's
there
gonna blow up the
as a
Gastown, yeah.
diversion. And then he's going to go take the Citadel while they're gone.
Right.
And they make a big trench down the desert and they're putting oil down so they don't make dust. It's all really good. But then they get caught.
Well, Furiosa finds out and tells them about it.
Yeah. And then they have a big war.
Yeah, they punch for a bit.
And then it's just
fight
like
for a
a
bit and you
small
don't see it.
montage, and you see a young doof warrior playing over the crowd or whatever at the
Yeah,
end.
it's pretty
I'm like,
sick.
that's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, you see all like the cars and bodies laying everywhere, and
It's
like,
cool.
ugh. But so
What
the whole
could have
time-
been?
Yeah,
I want a movie just
Basically-
about that battle.
Yeah, basically, it's just Furiosa building her arm during that whole battle.
Just like imagine you give George Miller.
Well, that's what
I'm just thinking like
yeah.
Lord of the Rings, giant battles, but George Miller's doing like Mad Max. Can you imagine?
Imagine. Well, yeah. So like how the movies where it's like the horses and people just slam
it's
into
just
each other,
cars.
but just vehicles.
It's so sick.
I don't know. I mean, that seems like a sweet idea to me, but
I'm thinking
I get it.
like Return of the King style giant battle with monster trucks and dirt bikes and
in the middle. Yeah, this desert.
I want that so bad.
Guns and boomsticks or whatever they're called.
So it's almost 4.
Yeah, it's all right. It doesn't have to be exactly.
You want anything else you want to talk about?
I'm just trying to think of what else I want to talk about with it. I mean, the scene with the bullet farm. I feel like
it's so good.
I wish if they were driving up. I think Jack didn't have to like drive all the way down there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like put it has that foot that lock.
That scene,
pedal lock in it. You could have just hit that, jumped out, ran.
They
got
talk
in the car,
about that
off.
scene.
It's cool.
George Miller
scene,
does
but...
like he did an article with Variety, like it's anatomy of a scene.
Oh, is that the breakdown?
And he talks about that scene specifically. Yeah. It's emotional. Like he's like looking back, and that's his way out. And then he looks forward. He's like, "Well, I got to protect her." Slams the door shut and just like full throttle forward.
That's what I'm saying. I think he could have done both, but I understand. I mean, in the moment,
and the whole like honking the horn at each other and shooting the flare up. It's so good.
The green flare, yeah,
it's so good.
Those horns sound so cool though. Both of them.
That's what I'm saying. The sound design in these freaking movies.
Yeah, you just like I just want to be like those people. Like I want to be cool.
It sounds cool until you're like, I don't want to live in this.
I mean, it would be awful,
universe.
but yeah. But also, it's like. Sometimes it's better. It's almost like I'd give up some of the nice things to be in like
super cool.
And I mean, no one would see it. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
you
and
would see
also,
it, but
I mean, it sounds miserable to be in the wasteland like that.
Yeah, in general. So I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, I don't know.
It's like I wish this was real life.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's just fun making stories. I guess is what I'm saying.
It's like something. Like a kid, you want to be Luke Skywalker. Adult, you're like, I want to be like freaking Furiosa or Mad Max, and like,
hey, I'd take Luke Skywalker too. But,
yeah, I know, but it's like a totally different.
Sure, yeah.
As a kid, you're not like, I want to be Furiosa.
Well, you might, but yeah, you wouldn't be like, yeah, I want to
more
lose
of an
my arm and
taste
my
at
mother, and then
It's. I told Kylie, I was like,
all this horrible thing.
She said to me watching Furio, and she's like, I understand why you guys love it so much. She's like, everything just is like. Shot to be like the coolest thing ever. Yeah, well, and it is most of the time the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But it's like just a lot for some people. In the same way, like, I don't think anime's for me.
No.
Anime's not my thing.
It just depends on the anime for me.
But I don't get the same thing out of anime as I do like this.
Right.
I don't get
Well, this was almost an anime. Some of these Mad Max stuff really.
That's why I'm
initially,
like, this freaking movie. And
maybe
like,
it will be.
Dune is like the movie. I'm like, I want to be in this freaking universe. I want to be part. I want to be you.
I want to be there. I don't necessarily want to be you. I just want to be there with you guys. Like,
I want to be with you.
I want to be in the
I want to marry
cockpit,
you.
You.
Let's marry each other.
I want to marry you. Can I marry? I love you. I love you so much.
Here's something to talk about. How do you think the ending was with Dementis and Furiosa? I like that she's like, all right,
it's cool.
I'm going to make you feel pain that you're not going to get off that easy. I love that. One thing I didn't love is there wasn't like a definite answer of
like
what happened. Some say that she shot him
I
right
don't
there.
mind that.
And then the whole some people don't like it. I like the idea, the symbolism of planting the tree like where he is and like harvesting from him at this point.
Right.
I like the idea.
The imagery is good.
It makes sense. Like he stole that from her. Now he's gonna she's gonna benefit from, or like she has won. She has the green place, a part of the green place with her now, and she's benefiting from killing you basically.
Yeah, or not killing you.
Or not killing you, but like she has won over you. You lost. You try to take her from his place, and it makes sense. And thematically, it makes sense. Maybe not.
I get the whole like
I liked
multiple
it.
ending because it's like, well, what we're talking about. It's like
No
a
one
myth.
was there.
It's like a myth. Yeah, it's like being retold by the history men.
I
It's just
thought that
like-
was good.
where it's like, well, some say it was this, and some where
would
how stories do get evolved into like how we tell them, and they get embellished. And
But
it's like,
part of me wishes
and it's like
that
a
I just
fun, weird
saw
version of
her
it.
like finish the job.
instead
like,
of
then
being
you
like,
get that little
could
bit
have
of
been
closure.
Could have been that.
But I think the whole tree thing is its way of being like, I think
metaphorically,
this
it's
is what
the
happened.
best. Metaphorically, is the best way.
Yeah.
But I assume that's the actual way because that's how they end it. But that's kind of how they made it sound. Like, well, maybe she could have shot him, or she could have done this, making him run until he fell down and died, just got dragged, or somehow she planted a tree in him or underneath him and it grew through him.
I think it's
that's
that,
the part
'cause
I don't understand.
I think it's underneath of him because he's like,
because he didn't even look chained down. He was
yeah,
just
he
like,
was. He had like
can't
those
remember.
old timey chains on his arms and
sure.
legs. I think his legs were like busted though,
I mean,
so I don't think he
can't
can
run away.
move.
I don't know how it works. I don't know how that worked, but whatever. It's like a fantasy, it's myth at this point. Fantasy is maybe not the right word, but yeah, it's like a mythological. So that's what I'm saying. As far as symbolism and thematic elements,
cool.
it's like, well, here, that's a good like ending. Like, yeah, you don't get off that easy, and it's like new life that you took from me coming through. Is now I'm taking that from you.
Yeah.
Essentially, the life you took from me, I'm taking from you in a sense.
I think it's
I don't know.
beautiful. What else can we talk about? What do you think about the inclusion of seeing Charlize Theron bringing everybody to the war rig at night?
So
Don't love it.
I think they.
I wish they kind of
wish
just
they
left
would've
that
cut
to
it
my
off. Yeah.
imagination after the
here's-
tree.
Part of me is like, that's cool, and then they should have added like what you could do is add another plate of chapter whatever and call it Fury Road,
That's a good idea.
and then just go right into it. You know what I mean? You
a
could do
good
it that
idea.
way, and they kind of do that with the weird credits where they
Didn't
have like
love
I was
that.
like, why even have that? Remember this
It's
movie?
kinda
This is
taking
the one.
away
Go watch
to-
this movie now.
That's what
I
it's
don't
kind
know.
of like. I understand why you're doing it. It's like, all right, and this is what
don't-
happens in the future.
Don't
But
not understand, but
finish the story where it's at and let Fury Road stand on its own.
Yeah.
And Furiosa stand on its own.
yeah, I didn't think you needed that whole ending. Like you could have cut it down in 10 minutes maybe of the whole. I mean, it's kind of neat to see all the girls back at like I don't know how they did that, if it's CGI or old footage.
I think it's old footage.
Maybe like that. Maybe they filmed that scene and they kind of repurposed
I think
it.
that's what it is.
I think they brought in Charlize Theron.
I
I don't know when it happened because her Anya Taylor-Joy does a really good impression.
That's what I was gonna say.
Or they augmented her voice somehow.
I think she, like in an interview,
It's
she
really
says like
close.
she's happy that she got to work, like play a character played by Charlize
Yeah.
Theron because she's like one of her idols or whatever.
Sure.
And she said like, yeah, it's like trying to be more like her
It was
compared
really
to being my
good.
own character.
At least near the end.
It's good. But I don't think that scene of her walking with the brides to the war rig is new. I think it's an old. It's
Maybe.
from Fury Road. I think they
Because
repurposed
that
it.
made it kind of what I heard kind of made it sound like they brought in Charlize Theron, but maybe if it's
I
the
think
same
it's just
footage, they
already-
just hadn't had her. They just kind of
I think
it's
that's
actually
what
her
because it
from
didn't
that
even
point,
like
but-
look like it was like shot from the same cameras or anything.
I think it looked fine, but
but you can tell it's
with it
not
being at
the
night,
same thing.
I thought it was okay. But yeah,
No, I'm not saying it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
good. I'm saying like you can tell that it's like it seems like it's from a different thing.
maybe.
You can kind of.
I mean, I
just
saw
tell.
it one time, so who knows? But you're probably right. but-
I don't think I really got much more to say. It's amazing.
yeah, that's about.
love
I
it.
think that's the last thing. I don't know.
The last thing I could say is it was brutal when Dementis caught them and like hung her from her arm after breaking it.
Yeah, after
That
getting
was
it
very brutal.
busted up with the tire.
That's so bad.
Well, yeah, and I thought they were just gonna subtly like have her arm get like that was the moment, and like I'm not gonna get any like extra like this is the moment she loses her arm,
Yeah.
But
I
they do
d-
kind of do that at
They
with
do
her
and they
hanging her
don't.
up.
I love.
It's fine. It's
I
whatever.
love
You knew it was
the
gonna happen.
inclusion of her map being on her arm that she loses her way back home.
Yeah,
That
she
was
knew it.
awesome.
Knows it.
Because like you're like, it's like the smoking gun. You see the gun at the beginning of it. You see her arm. You know it's not there at the end.
Yeah,
and
you know it's
she's
gonna be
using
gone.
her arm to like draw a map. I'm like, this is
There
is
goes that
building
arm.
up. This is
That arm's
awesome.
not sticking around. Yeah,
And the reveal of
good.
like her hand just kind of like dangling there. Love that shot. But
cool.
that's the shot So, oh my gosh, it's 4 o'clock.
Oh, it's all right.
That's the shot. You see the arm, and then it cuts to her like walking in the desert alone, like hurt, and that's when you see Mad Max. It's all
that's
like
right.
there because she's like walking through the
She's
desert.
stomach food, and then she passes out. Yeah, and then he potentially brings her to the maggot
I think that's
healer
it.
lady.
Ew, it's awful.
Who tried to pull her in early on. I don't know what the whole deal was that was, but whatever. Anyway, it's kind of a fun little moment
It's gross.
where Dementus actually saves her from that. But
What?
so when they go to take the Citadel, Dementus.
Oh, they did
when
the
she's a
young
little
girl. Yeah, that's
not,
good.
Not older her, but she gets pulled in by the maggot healer lady at first, and
Yeah.
he like grabs her. Anyway, that was a cool scene too, where
Anywho,
trying to thinking he can jump in and take the Citadel.
9 out of 10 now. No, talking about it, I love it way more
it's
than
still
I
an
thought.
it's still an 8.5 for me. But no, I mean it's good. What am I thinking of? Yeah, it's just if it doesn't do well enough, we're not going to get either the Wasteland, which would be cool. I'd really like to see if he's got to do the Wasteland. Cool, even though there's like a comic about that whole situation. But whatever, make it if you want. But I'd really like to see what happens after.
Okay, I got
Fury
some
Road.
breaking news.
Okay.
This has just happened.
Okay.
There's still hope.
All right.
This weekend,
I like
Furiosa has grossed 115 million at the box office worldwide now.
Still
Budget
behind,
168, but
If we can break even, at
it was
least.
projecting to be like 80.
Okay.
So there's those Mad Max fans like us watching it 14 times in a row.
Maybe, yeah. Hopefully. I mean, whatever, you know.
You know, they do say witness, so I'm gonna go witness it as many times as I have to.
Yeah.
Oh,
But even if they don't do that, I'm like, you know what? We'll probably just end up getting an anime version of these movies.
fine.
You know, And
I'll
I'm like,
take it.
Fine, but
I
I'd
have
still
to
like
take
to
it,
see
I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, but my thought is like, you know, if they don't ever get made and George Miller dies, I feel like that would be a thing that would happen because there's been talks of that.
if nothing else ever gets made, and these are the only two, I'll die happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still.
These
I was
movies
happy.
are incredible.
I had, I had assumed that there wasn't going to be another one
Yeah.
with Fury
Furiosa.
Road, and I was like, okay, I'm happy. This is such a good movie. It's like once in a lifetime, maybe, you know. But
I think something I've thought about too is that watching the trailer, there were always like thoughts of it's not going to be as good as Fury Road.
I never thought
I
that.
think this is way better than I anticipated it to be.
Well, if you lower your expectations,
Well, my
don't
opinion
know.
is like, how do you top it? How do you top Fury Road?
I don't. And the answer is you don't. But you just
I
make
think
a different
this is
type of
as
movie.
close as you get.
Maybe. I mean, who knows?
The
The next movie could be better or as good. You know, whatever.
Yeah, but I think like with following Fury Road,
Sure.
you're not going to have the best movie ever. I
think
think
it's
this
been-
is
Yeah.
above anything I expected it to be.
If it'd been sooner, maybe that would have been the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think since it's been so long, people are kind of like, okay, well, I'm ready for another. You know, like maybe it's. I don't know.
If
I
it was
never
any
expected it
sooner,
to.
if it was any sooner, I feel like it could have been a totally different movie.
Yeah,
And
you would have
maybe it wasn't as good.
potentially would have had Charlize Theron plays more of that and stuff. You know, but I don't know.
This movie is very emotional too. I did
Yeah.
tear up a couple times when
I mean, there's
her
some
mom's getting.
sacrifices made and a couple of them. Well, you know,
I cried at Fury Road rewatching it. There's a couple
Yeah.
points when
Well, when
Nux
she
is
gets
like,
the-
witness me, and he's pointing up.
that's a good
Gets
one.
me every time.
Well, yeah, Nux's whole change.
He
from-
might be like
He's got the most character.
He's got the
change.
biggest
He's got the
character
character
arc.
arc in this one. That one. Yeah, that one's sad.
that one, and then the
But when she gets there and,
and she's like crying.
they're like, "Oh,
that gets me."
You went through the green place." You know what I
Kylie
mean?
got really sad when the old lady died.
Oh yeah, that one's sad. It is sad.
She's just like laying there, like kind of just
She
dozing
saves
off,
the-
holding her like seeds.
Yeah,
and
but she
stuff.
still gets one more in, taking that good dude out.
So good. Gets me every time. But this one, I did tear up when her mom gets caught.
Yeah.
And she gets like tortured. It makes me cry.
What's funny is
That one really got me.
Furiosa always she never runs away is kind of the thing that they point out. Like,
Love it.
which part of me is like, your mom. It wouldn't have been worse for her mom to be like. It should, at least, you know, knowing her daughter had made it back to the green place and still died, versus like she came running back and it's
like,
like,
oh,
"Are you?"
great,
And
I
then
just-
I'm dying anyway, but she's caught. And it's
It
like,
makes
"Are
sense
you
for
kidding
her
me?
to like
Just
run back to her.
I
but-
understand from her point of view, but as like a parent being like,
Well, that's like
just
the,
run. You
that's
know?
the drive
worse.
for the whole movie is that Dementus killed her mom.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah.
And that ending where like Dementis is like taunting her. I love the end scene between them where like the majority of the like
Just
that scene
talking.
is just talking.
Yeah, it's not a big action scene.
And it's so good. She's like,
yeah, any other
I have
movie,
won, and I'm gonna just like, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna make you feel bad too.
yeah.
Keeps on punching
any other
him.
movie that would have been a bit action, like fight
Yeah.
back and forth. Or
I
something.
love that it wasn't like that at all.
Did you get the? I always kind of got the feeling of like Dementis is like kind of like a Joker type character.
Oh yeah,
Kind of that theatrical and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very. That's what it reminded me of early on. Because at first he's kind of like a religious figure with his like white hood,
and then it gets
after
coated in the red.
coated in that red,
Love it.
he like turns into this weird like crazy maniac character, and then after that he's just kind of that for the rest of it.
I loved it.
Or
I
he
thought
kind of
was
starts
great.
getting a little crazy at the end, like losing it, but
You might be my.
it's good.
He stands out as a villain
Oh yeah,
compared to like
he's an interesting villain.
and Fury Road. There's so many.
Yeah,
And they're all like, okay, they're all
there's so
kinda
many
equal.
weird and strange people. That
This
it's
guy
hard to
feels
stand out.
he feels like the Joker,
He felt like a Joker type
Like-
feel to me.
almost like you know how like
He's
in
having
the
a
Dark
good
Knight,
time.
the Joker has like the most screen time, and it's like
Yeah.
kind of his movie in a way. It kind of
It's
feels
kind
like
of
that.
that whole movie type vibe. Like,
And that's
obviously-
why they're promoting it with mostly just you got Furiosa and Chris Hemsworth. Obviously, you get Chris Hemsworth, and he was always going to be a big role. It seems
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I don't think this is like Anya Taylor-Joy's best role, but that's not necessarily her. Not that she's bad, but it's just that's just
I
the
love
role,
her.
You know,
I freaking love
good.
her.
She's always been great.
This is her second movie in the desert. She was in
Since-
Dune Part 2 as well.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah.
I assume she'll be in more of it than the next
God,
one,
he's like,
potentially. But
What's happening? Who is this? I'm like,
why is Anya Taylor-Joy here?
it's his sister.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Let's move on.
trying to think of anything else, but
We'll be talking about this for a while.
Yeah, probably. I feel like I'm missing so much.
I want to go see it in theaters again, though. I haven't had that like feeling of like I gotta go see it in theaters between this and Dune Part 2. I'm like, this is a movie I want to see in
watch it again,
theaters
yeah.
multiple times.
Here's one question though: is I thought
He's awake.
it's Wolf. Yeah, he's been awake. I heard him laughing down there. Hold on, bud. So they made it sound like there was all women in that whole tribe,
In the
green
first one,
place, but then there's like dudes in it.
in Fury Road, they made it seem like that.
That's what I'm saying. It was like weird.
No, I liked it.
And so,
Well,
also,
I think they had to do it because like, how's their children?
Well, so the idea is they
Save them.
steal people and then steal guys and then they kill them and have kids with them, and then if they have kids, boys, they cast them out and they become those
It's
little
like-
walking. They become those walker dudes.
It's like the opposite of the Citadel. Then,
Kind of. Well, they don't have. Well, they want to keep girls there, but they just don't let them.
yeah,
Roam around generally.
but in this one, she gives birth to the baby with 4 legs. And
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
okay, we don't.
Well, because
we're
it's
done
a
with you, and they were
half-life.
going to kill the woman.
No, they weren't
She's
gonna
like,
kill
no.
her. She was
Well, that's
gonna-
what they did, and she's like, no, I can do it this time. I promise.
They didn't kill her though. She becomes They use her for.
the mother's milk.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, but like I'm saying, it's kind of like that. Where it's like,
I see.
this
Yeah,
is their
yeah, yeah.
purpose. If you don't do good, then we're going to cast you out.
Yeah, but I'm saying is in the original idea, I don't know how it changed, but in this one, you see like guys were helping and they're like sawing the. They're like a team, whatever they're in the tribe, whatever you call it. But in the other one, they made it sound like it was just all women. It was like Amazons, basically, right? And so they'd kidnap guys, have babies with them, and then they'd kill them. And then if they were babies, they'd like get rid of them, and they became those weird walker dudes. Anyway,
Which sounds
that's what I'm
awful.
like. Yeah, that sounds like a terrible. That's part of me. That's why I was part of the parcel. I was like, these people aren't that much better than anyone else.
I like that they
but
kind
they
of.
kind of make them better,
I
more
think
sympathetic
that's
in this
a good
one.
thing. It's like,
probably
oh,
the way to do it.
You guys are good people. It's someplace that everybody
Yeah,
should
this is
go.
not a
Is the
weird
green
place.
place.
Yeah,
Anywho,
but yeah.
anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think it's. I mean, probably, but it's a good movie. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it really, but I'm bad about describing it. But there you go. I think it was. It's a ride.
I think there's just some
It's an
talking
interesting
points I wanted to talk about, and that's all I got.
Is this the movie I would have chosen if I could choose from any Mad Max story that I wanted to see? Probably not, but I'm happy it came out, and I'm happy it was made. If nothing else gets made, I'll still be happy.
Yeah.
Right? I would like to see what happens past Fury Road, but my guess is if this does well enough, they'll try and do The Wasteland, which is the Mad Max prequel that takes place roughly at the same time as this backstory, which is about Mad Max. But I'm just saying I'd like to see Beyond.
I don't know, man.
Beyond
I love this
Mad
freaking
Max.
movie. The more I sit on Furiosa, the more I'm
Fury
like,
Road.
I can't stop thinking about it. I think this movie's amazing.
They just made so much in this one little section that it's just like, well, let's just make these movies because we already have everything, you know.
But like, I even just texted you out of the blue. I'm like, I can't freaking stop thinking about Furiosa.
Well,
it's like sitting with me.
Now that we've had
like,
these,
amazing.
Yeah, what would you choose? What story would you want to see? Like just any, if you had a choice, even just like a curiosity thing.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it much. I'm happy.
So, like I said, I'd like to see one beyond.
I'm content.
I'd like to see one like, I don't know, a year after Fury Road or something, and maybe even Furiosa could show up in it randomly. You know,
I'm content right now.
I'd almost like to see old man Mad Max bring back Mel Gibson for like one last interesting, like crazy thing like that. You know, I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, it kind of
Old
sounds like
grizzled Mad Max.
I don't know what I want to see. I want to see whatever George Miller wants to make.
Okay, well, imagine a Mad Max like Unforgiven style, old and grizzled, Logan-esque, and like society's actually starting to build back, and you know what I mean. And so now all these crazy people they're trying to get rid of who are living out in the desert. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. You know, when he's got to like, he's kind of part of this old like the civilization's coming back now. He's kind of like he takes out the last crazy boss guy that's trying to stop the civilization from happening. And he gives his life for that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
My
Redeems
opinion,
himself, his
if
whole
George Miller doesn't want that movie,
no, I understand.
then I don't want to see it.
No, I'm just saying.
If
like,
he made a movie about
an idea.
freaking, I don't know, anything in that world, I'll watch it. I kind of just want to see what he's passionate about.
Oh, absolutely. And he's talking about other movies that aren't in Mad Max that he'd like to make.
I'm watching it.
And part of me is like, well, but did you watch 3,000 Years of Longing?
I didn't.
Did you watch Happy Feet 2?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it.
Sadly,
First
yes.
one's not bad. I mean, it's good. Anyway, so, but part of me is like, just make Mad Max, but I get it. Like, if he's not in it, then don't.
If he's not in it to make a good Mad Max movie, I don't care.
You got to be in for your art. That's all I got to say.
I feel like
or else
he
it's
is,
just,
man.
It's just corporate. Anyway, thanks for listening to us blather on for whatever it's been, an hour about nothing, but probably explaining Furiosa poorly. But
No,
you know,
this is good.
if you've seen it, it might be more enjoyable.
All right, we'll see
But yeah, that's all.
you.
And thanks for listening, and so long. Goodbye.